Hello, welcome to GTech Techno Solution Private Limited. We are going to discuss about the sense organs and in particular about eyes. So these are the topics that we are going to cover in this session. We are going to see about the introduction for sense organs, followed by the extrinsic muscles of eye. Then we'll be studying about the structure of eyeball. We'll also study the layers of eyes. We'll be discussing about the focusing problems in eyes. So, the basic introduction for the sense organs is that there are 5 sense organs for a human. If one can taste, then that is because they have tongue. If one can see, that is because they have eyes. If one can feel things, that is because they have skin. If one can hear things, that is because of ears. If one can smell things, then that is because of nose. So these 5 senses which a human can relate his environment to is known as the sense organs. So the 5 sense organs are eyes, ears, nose, skin and tongue. So our senses provide us with information about the surroundings. Our sense organs are complex organs. It includes the eyes or specialized receptors which can detect the changes that happens in your environment. So our sense organs continuously gives us information about the environment we are in. These are like mediators for us with the external world. Now we are going to see in detail about our first sense organ, eyes. Our eyes is used to see, and it contains the receptors for vision and a refracting system which focuses the light that falls on the receptors in the retina. The position of eye is in the orbit in your skull that is formed by the bones like maxilla, zygomatic, frontal, sphenoid and ethinocyte bones. So you can find these bones over here. So this gives the position of the eye in a human skull. Next we are going to see the extrinsic muscles of an eye. The extrinsic muscles that attach the surface of the eyeball to the bones of the skull is as follows. In your lateral view, you can see that you have a common tendinous ring that is over here. Then you have an inferior rectus muscle, inferior oblique muscle. So these are the muscles which bind your eyes to the socket of the skull. You have your lateral rectus muscle. Over here you can see in your anterior view that your lateral rectus muscle is over here. To the right of the eye, you have medial rectus muscle. Then you have your superior rectus muscle, which is located in the top of your eyeball, and your inferior rectus muscle is located down to the eye. Your inferior oblique muscle, as you can see, is connected over here. Your superior oblique muscle is over here. So these are the muscles, including your trochlea, which are extrinsic muscles that attach the surface of the eyeball to the bone, that is your skull. Next, we are going to see the outer parts of a human eye. The outer parts include the eyelids, the eyelashes, and the tears. Eyelids contain skeletal muscle that allow us to close them, and they totally cover your exterior eyeball from other agents like dirt or other harm. So eyelids act as a protective factor. Your eyelashes will help to keep the dust out of your eyes. Hence, your eyelashes act as a factor which protects the eyes from getting into contact with the dust. Tears are nothing but a watery secretion from the eyes in order to lubricate the eyes. Next, we are going to see about the structure of the eye. In a structure, you will find cornea. Cornea is nothing but the front surface, and it is the white of our eyes and the cornea. Cornea is transparent. It receives no blood, and hence it is nourished by aqueous humor, which lubricates the eye and thus your cornea. Because your cornea doesn't have a supply of blood. Our next part of the eye is the sclera, that is the tough fibrous tissue. The sclera is covered by conjunctiva in the front of the eyeball. Hence, your sclera is the tough fibrous tissue. Next, we have choroid. Choroid contains a dark pigment which prevents scattering of light that enters the eyeball. It also contains blood vessels and two involuntary muscles which include the iris and the ciliary body. So these two are the involuntary muscles which controls the blood vessels to the eye. Your scattering of light in the eyeball occurs as depicted in this diagram over here. The focus goes over here. As you can see, your A has been focused by the lens of your eye and it appears as this. Similarly, the tree over here is focused into the eye and it appears inverted over here inside your eyes. Our eyeball has the next structure as lens. Lens is nothing but a transparent elastic protein, and it doesn't have any blood supply. It is nourished by aqueous humor. Our next part is retina. Retina contains microscopic receptor cells, and those cells are called as rods and cones, which includes fovea as well. So if you see, your retina has the receptors such as rods and cones, which are used for transmitting the image that the eye has viewed to the brain by nerve impulses. Next, we are going to see the layers of the eye. The eye is composed of 3 layers: the outer layer, the middle layer, and the inner layer. The outer layer consists of the sclera, that is the white of the eye, and followed by sclera you can find your cornea, that is the clear dome in front of the eye. You can see over here your cornea, which is transparent and it is like a dome in front of the eye. Cornea is like the window for an eye. So whatever you're able to see through your cornea falls on your lens, and the image is formed in your retina, which is transmitted to the brain through your optic nerve. We'll see the next layers in detail. The middle layer of the eye is called as uvea, and it contains the vessels that carry the blood through the eye to nourish it. So the middle layer of the eye carry the vessels that carry the blood. Your inner layer receives the light from the image we are looking at, and it converts the light into electrical impulses, which are sent through the fibers of your optic nerve to the brain. So thus, the inner layer acts as the converting place where the image is converted into electrical impulses for the recognition of brain. Next, we have cornea. Cornea is the outermost layer of the eye, and it is made up of 5 layers of tissue itself. So it is the outermost layer, and it is made up of 5 layers of tissue. If you see, your cornea is clear and it allows the light to enter through the pupil to shine on the retina. So your cornea lets the light through the pupil to shine on your retina. The cornea also helps to protect the eye from dirt and bacteria. Next, we are going to see about retina. Retina is the layer at the back of the eye, and this is where your photoreceptors, that is your rods and cones, are located. The light that is reflected on the retina through the pupil is focused on the retina, and the optic nerve that is attached to the back of the retina transmits this image as electric impulse to the brain, and it gets the information from our eyes. So this is how retina transmits the image to the brain. Next, we are going to discuss about the focusing problems that happens in eyes. The problems with focusing, that is your refractive errors, are the most common eye disorders. And this occurs when the image of what you're looking at does not focus precisely onto the back of the eye, which is nothing but your retina. If your image appears blurry, then your eye suffers from one of the focusing problems, which includes presbyopia, which is nothing but old-sightedness, myopia, that is nearsightedness, astigmatism, refraction error, and hyperopia, that is farsightedness. So these are the main types of refractive errors. The presbyopia, which is nothing but your old-sightedness, happens because the ciliary bodies lose their elasticity and can no longer change the shape of the lens to bring near the objects into focus. So thus, your ciliary bodies are the main reason for presbyopia, because the lens will not be able to change the shape to bring the objects into focus. Next, we have myopia, which is nothing but nearsightedness. The image that is focusing in front of the retina rather than on it is the situation what happens in myopia, which is nearsightedness. Simply to say, a person can clearly see the things that is near to him, and the things that are farther from him is not visible clearly. So that is the case in myopia. In myopia, your eyeball will be elongated. It can be corrected by using glasses, contact lenses, or radial keratotomy, that is LASIK. Next, we have hyperopia, which is far-sightedness. In this case, the image focuses behind your retina. So this creates a fuzzy image, and it is corrected by using concave lenses. So by using the lens, we can correct your hyperopia. Simply to say, hyperopia is if a person can see the things at distance clearly and he cannot see the things which are nearby clearly, then he is subjected to have hyperopia. Next, we are going to see about astigmatism, that is refraction error. It will result in a fuzzy image, an irregular curvature of the cornea. You can see over here the cornea has an irregular shape, and it requires a special lens to correct which can be tonic lenses or contacts. So thus, in your astigmatism, you will have multiple focus points because of irregular shape of your cornea, which will lead to multiple images. Thank you so much for joining GTech on sense organs. Hope you would have learned a lot about eyes.